So Joe, it's been a hot minute, right? A year ago, we were here talking about Agentic Data Management. Back then, it was like, everybody was like, what is Agentic Data Management? And now everybody wants it. Everybody's talking about it. It's the popular kid on the block. And what we're going to show today is the next generation of capabilities. So the 6 things you'll see in this demo, we're going to do autonomous KYC compliance. We're going to do data quality and pipeline root cause analysis and resolution. And as part of that, Joe's going to show no-code policy creation. The 4th thing we're going to show is all this talk about MCP. We're going to show it in action with integrations to not 1, not 2, but 3 different tools, ServiceNow, Salesforce, and Reltio. And we're also going to show what Ashwin showed, but in the context of a business user, headless MCP server access via Claude Code. And finally, we're going to wrap this thing up with an agentic data product creation. So that's quite a lot of stuff, Joe.
A little bit.
I assure you we can handle it.
I can you?
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll just have to see. No promises. Okay, four fingers, right?
There you go.
All right, so, oh, you fooled me.
I did, sorry.
You set me up. Okay, so for the purposes of the autonomous bank scenario, I am now the head of compliance for KYC among my remit. So I'm under a lot of pressure. So I just brought Acceldata in and we installed it, just a couple of weeks ago. It's crawled, it's accessed all of the assets. So now it's a full picture of all of the assets across the system, both in the cloud, on-prem, hybrid, all the pipelines, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this morning, I got this very interestingly cartoonish, but interesting report that basically said, what is the status of my KYC coverage? And shockingly, I only have 40% CID, customer identification coverage, and even worse, on OFAC, I'm less than 5%. So naturally, I scream at Joe, and I say, what is going on? I didn't know that we were this much exposed. This is kind of insane. So how did I get this report? So last year, we introduced the concept of the business notebook. Now, a business notebook is the way that you can store and schedule prompts that can run on a recurring basis. Now, this essentially gives you the agentic execution in a timed and controlled manner. You could quite easily just say, just alert me and run it like you do with ChatGPT today, to set it a task, and on a daily alert you. The business notebook gives you more flexibility because you can assemble multiple tasks. And what you're seeing here is that one task was to send me a report as the head of compliance, and the second one was to notify Joe and have Joe do the diagnosis. So now I'm going to hand over to Joe, who's going to show you what it shared with him and how he's going to deal with my unhappiness.
Unhappiness, yes. Now, he brought me into this new bank, and I'm just getting my feet wet. Now, I came in as a KYC, a regulatory expert, so I understand the business end of it, but I don't necessarily understand all the assets we have in place as this bank grows up. So as Ramon said, I got a much more detailed view of the assessment, right? So it's going to give me a summary. It's going to identify the assets it's going to work with, right? And it starts answering me in language that I understand. And for those of you here last year when we looked at ADM, we had a real data engineering perspective in, right? A great thing about agentic systems is they morph to the persona of the user. So now, as a business owner, a risk manager, an expert in KYC, it's morphing using my language, right? So it's telling me exactly the areas where I have controls and where I don't, where I have gaps, right? It's going across all the assets, identifying the critical ones, and giving me a prioritized list. In this case, it's identifying my customer master as a critical asset that I do not have proper controls on. So I can start taking a look, and it's a key thing here is not only is it telling me where the gaps are, it's now going to start suggesting what I should do about these gaps, right? Now, I'm new in the bank, so I don't have a full picture of these assets, and for me to feel confident in my job, I want to get an understanding of how they live in the ecosystem. What's the flow of data? So I ask specifically that. Visualize this for me across the different assets, highlighting where the controls are missing. Build a visual map for me, including the pipelines, the data engineering pipelines that are moving and populating this data, right? So now it visualizes this flow for me. I'll zoom out a little bit. And it's highlighted where the critical gaps are, right? So now, without having prior knowledge of everything in this complex ecosystem, it's driven in and given me a view of how all these pieces come together, right? It's again highlighting where gaps are, where I do have controls, where I don't have controls. It's giving me a radar chart. So again, being a visual person, I'm understanding I got big OFAC screening, CCD problems, CIP problems, again, highlighting where I need to take action, right? Okay, so now maybe I need to go start taking action, right? So now again, I can just pick one of these actions, press the blue button, dive in, or I could start a prompt. Now, one thing I want to come back to, this little link up here. A big thing about agentic systems, and well, it's not just agentic systems. Think about your relationship with any person. Earning trust is a difficult thing. It takes time. Losing trust is a very easy thing. It happens in a second. So we have been extra diligent at making sure you can trust ADM, even giving you links to the data that ADM is using, that's what this is, so that you can see how it got to its answer, right? We need to build your trust in this platform. Okay, so now I'm just going to kick off a workflow that says, here's the prompt, start a workflow to create the data policies on the gap. I'm all in context, right? So it knows the gap we're talking about. Also start one on the transaction to start that OFAC screening gap that I had, right? Now, ADM is kicked off several workflows, right? So I've got the CIP, CCD controls, right? And let me just pop over, whoops, I missed the point. I'm going to go back a second. This is Murphy's Law. One of the things I wanted to look at is not only understand the flow of the data, but the pipelines processing the data. Now, a pipeline is a data engineering job that's running and moving data from point A to point B. Being able to visualize that pipeline as part of our observability, being able to look at it over time to see the assets, these blue boxes, the jobs, how they connect is another visual indication of how my operations are working, right? Additionally, we've added AI components on top of that so that I can build an AI view and it can give me an enhanced view of these pipelines, understanding how to navigate through those, being able to ask questions about those pipelines, all in context where I'm working. One of the big things that we've been doing with ADM since last year is spreading it actually throughout the platform, so wherever I am in the platform, I can ask for help. Analyze this result. Tell me more about this asset. What's going on in this pipeline? Okay, so now I understand the pipeline. I asked for those policies to be created, right? Now let's take a look at those policies, right? So what happened when I asked the system to kick off a workflow to create these policies? I didn't tell it exactly what to create. Basically, it took the context of my conversation and built a prompt. Now that prompt isn't specifically put this rule on this column. It's again giving intent. It has information that we've built into a knowledge base that understands what those KYC controls are, what they should be. That's what the policy analyzer does. It takes the intent, understands all the information it has, builds out what it should do in terms of a policy. Analyze asset extractor now is going to go look at all the metadata we've collected about your assets in the context and then project the data quality policies that it should build. So at the end of the day, it produces a series of rules. These are the controls that are in place that are fully documented that I can then put into my daily process, my production process, right? Now, this is still a mode of human in the lead. I've told it to go build this. It's built it for me with the intent, not the detailed instructions, but I've given a trusted assistant how to build this out. And now it's given it back to me and said, this is what I want. I can approve this. I can enhance this. I can review it. I can take the lead from here. Now, we've chosen to implement this way for this demo, but we could have built that notebook that started this whole process to say, go review these things and go build the policies based on the gaps you have. So we didn't have to put a human in the lead here. We could have told it, go ahead and build those, right? Now put them up for review, or likely go ahead and build them and put them all the way out to maybe your test environment or wherever you want them to be, okay? I mean, think about how you build your controls today and the effort and analysis you go through and the difference that this could bring to your environment. Does that seem reasonable? Does it sound fun? Does it, I don't know if fun is the right word about KYC, but okay, thank you. I was fishing for that. I was fishing hard. You guys weren't giving me an inch on that. Oh, man. Okay, so now I've kicked off these workflows. They've gone out. They've built these controls. He's tracking me. I'm a new employee. He's saying, have you completed, right? So I decide that actually I better open a ServiceNow ticket so that we can actually track that we've moved this from a test environment out into production, and we can close the issue, and I can give him feedback before he follows up with me and dings me on my appraisal, right? So what does that look like? Here's a ServiceNow ticket. How do we do that? We've configured a ServiceNow MCP, so it understands how to talk to ServiceNow, what it can do. I told it to put all the information about the workflows right into the ticket with links back to it, right? Assign it to me. I can track it. I can assign to others. I can move this forward. And this, links into our partnership with ServiceNow and their, what I never forget.
Workflow Data Fabric.
Workflow Data Fabric. He's been telling me to get that term in my head for.
Yeah, this is just a wider partnership that we have with ServiceNow. So I was at ServiceNow's Knowledge Conference 2 weeks ago, and we're very proud to be a strategic partner with ServiceNow and their data quality, data observability function. So the combination of Acceldata capabilities that you see here talking to the ServiceNow agents that they have and their assistants will complete a full RCA capability which will close the loop on this workflow as well as any other incidents that get generated.
Okay, so now the initial fire, hey, you've missed this, key controls around your customer master, you've don't have OFAC screening in, you're all going to jail if you don't do something right here quickly, right? So we put that fire out, so to speak. But something else occurred in my head. When I was looking at the analysis, there were some reconciliation policies on customer master. Now, reconciliation policies in our terminology is comparing one source to another, right? Saying, hey, do you have the same data here that is over here? Do these things match? Can you balance these things? Right? So I said, I remember there were some. Instead of going back to the top, I just asked again, what were the policies? And I see a policy that's reconciling my customer master to my CRM, my Salesforce system, right? And there's some ones looking for orphan accounts and things, daily transaction limits, give me some details. But I was interested again around the one aimed at the CRM system, so I asked for some latest results. As I go down to cut to the chase down here, there was most of my customer master records were in my CRM system, but some weren't in there, which is a little concerning to me. And that is a potential risk. It could be a customer identification program risk. So I thought, well, again, how am I doing that, right? This is, again, reaching out through our system to look at all the detailed information, right? So now I'm going to go look at, oops, wrong one. the policy. This is the policy checking between the customer master and my Salesforce data, right? And it's showing me the actual records that are missing, right? This is the customer master. This is Salesforce. I can see records that are here that aren't there, a couple, so I've got some mismatches, right? So now I'll go back and I'll scoot down. Now again, using the power of the MCP, I'm going to ask, can you show me what that says, what that looks like in Salesforce? Now again, I'm new in this company. I don't actually, I guess I have a Salesforce sign-on. I don't know where I got it. I onboarded 2 months ago. So I just asked the platform. I don't have to go anywhere else. I can use the power of the MCP servers to find out more about that.
The XDP or Xlake governance capabilities controls whether you have authorization or not, so you don't have to worry about it.
Right. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't get the answer.
Just like Ashwin showed previously.
Slapped on the wrist. Now, I see the data there, and it puzzles me, and I said, well, wait a minute. We have a Reltio MDM system. Is that account in there? It's not found in there. This is getting me more and more concerned, and it's starting to tell me you have a bigger KYC compliance issue than you think, right? So now I give it a much more open-ended question. It says, search for other Salesforce accounts that might not be out there, right? Now think about what you would have to do to get your data engineering team to go look at your customer master, Salesforce, and Reltio, and then do the reconciliation and review while instead of a few seconds that it takes me, right? Now, what did it find? It said, uh-oh, there's a lot of gaps between these, and I'll cut down to the chase, and it comes down to say, we don't see any integration between your Salesforce system and your MDM system. That's a little concerning. I don't have any record of a feed from your MDM system to your customer master. You do have a recon, but there's some pieces that aren't in place. This is a little bit concerning, right?
And this is, for all my Reltio MDM friends out there, again, the strategic partnership with Reltio, the $1 million diagram, because every single Reltio user today has the question of, number one, what's the quality of the data before it gets into my Reltio system? What's the lineage? And where does the data go? And what did it make it back to the systems that I need the source record to? So this is something that is incredible, Joe. Thank you for showing this, because every single Reltio customer, many of which are in the room, joint customers of ours, have been asking for.
Great. Now, I did that all through the ADM interface, right? But I also use Claude Desktop. I can ask the same questions from Claude Desktop if I was a guy that said, I live in Claude Desktop, I don't want to get onto ADM. So we have an ADM MCP server plugged in my Claude Desktop. I've got all the access that I had through ADM. I can have my Salesforce MCP here, et cetera, and go down and essentially get the same information. It's going to tell me, here, you're missing the same coverage on the same items, just a different interface. So however you're comfortable, it's going to morph to your persona. Okay? Now, I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. You could set up the MCPs there just as well. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can talk more about all the wiring and how you might go about that, right? Okay, now I'll turn it back to the boss, because now we got things rolling and he needs to think about what we're going to do in the future.
Yes, thanks, Joe. Excellent overview there. But, you know, I want to control my own destiny, and I want to start to assemble things as data products, because it's what everybody's talking about. It makes sense. You know, I don't think in terms of tables and columns initially. I want to think of a logical unit that will be applicable to my business with its corresponding SLAs. So first thing, I'm going to ask Agentic Data Management, ADM, which assets might be good for creating a data product. So it's gone through, and because it has crawled and understood all of the properties of the assets that are in play, it's identified some strong candidates. And through one click, I can generate and create an agentic data product, just like that. Now, we're going to speed things up since this is a cooking demo, and I'm going to show you what that looks like as a final outcome. So this is a regulatory reporting data product that was created. These are the assets that belong to it. It's identified all the critical tables that might have information for Know Your Customer. It's also implemented the policies it believes I need in order to be compliant and to govern, and the corresponding SLAs. And it's also going to provide me with the lineage and also version history should I need it. That's going to take some time to develop. So in conclusion, what we said we were going to show you, this is what you saw. Autonomous KYC compliance. So if you're a financial institution, you're a pharma company, and you have rules and regulations you need to adhere to, it's as simple as installing Acceldata, crawling your assets, getting ADM to read and process your knowledge base that has these compliance rules, and it will generate and monitor your compliance for you. You also saw MCP integration, headless MCP server access, and finally, we closed with agentic data product creation. This is the next generation of agentic data management. Thank you so much. We'll take questions. Yeah, so the question was, on the creation of the data products, are we also looking at the SQL execution, et cetera, et cetera? So during the crawls and during the pipeline creation, as we're manifesting the RAG, if you will, the DAG, the DAG, right? It will look at certain tools and certain SQL queries to develop the actual pipeline view as it executes. So that's already been pre-done. So agentic data management is not necessarily interpreting new data from all of the pipeline information and the lineage that we've already done. Data observability capability, our ADOC function, has already crawled and understood all of that. Now, if the ADM needs to supplement that with some information from the outside, it can certainly do so. If you connect it, let's say, MCP to a DBT environment or such, then it can do that as well in addition. Hope that answers the question. Yeah, Sento.
Agent that tries to do exactly what you're doing. I think you're solving for the larger community for sure.
That's right.
Another quick question is the anomaly detections that you have in the powerful platform, like you had a lot of conversations today about a lot of LLMs being used. How you plan to have the integrations of various LLMs so that you can give more powerful insights about the anomalies during the pipeline processes?
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
okay.
No, go ahead.
So absolutely, we support multiple LLMs out of the box, right? So you can pick the model. You can bring your own LLM. So in Wells Fargo case, we can integrate with what you're building or any of your other LLMs that you want to bring and protect, right? Now, when you get into the world of anomaly detection, built into the platform, very specific areas, we use machine learning algorithms, another branch of AI, to go in very specific anomaly detections, freshness, data, the shape of your data anomalies. What's also happening, and is the LLMs themselves are finding anomalies in other areas where we're not applying machine learning models as of yet. So it's a very interesting dynamic. It's almost like a side product of pointing at the LLM at this rich set of metadata and finding more and more information in there. I've done scenarios where it's highlighting as I'm doing root cause analysis, hey, here, this was the anomaly that then triggered this problem as we went along. So the ability to, one, bring your own LLM, two, the rich amount of data brings more opportunities to find anomalies in this data or in the behavior of information. Hey, it could be access logs that we have access to that we're seeing things. Okay?
Excellent. Any other questions? Well, it's available for a demo on one-on-one upstairs. So thank you so much.